Daniel Miller on your right against Clay Spicklemire on your left. Rick Stelver versus Miracles to kick this round off. Todd Anderson says that Deathrite Shaman is overrated.
Yeah, you're going to see just how bad it is in this matchup. It doesn't do anything. It's just another card that gets swept away by Terminus.
And Daniel Miller, he's going to start things off with the Flooded Strand with his Miracles deck. No Sensei's Divine Top, apparently no problem.
For Clay's side, no turn one play. Could mean a lot of things, but not having a way to put pressure on the Miracles opponent, I think, is a pretty big deal. You really want to start off with a Delver or a Deathrite.
This is definitely a slow start for Spicklemire. No question about it.
Holy moly. He has a main deck dead gone.
Clay?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I like it.
Well, it's a really great answer to Merit Lodge because it bounces it instead of trying to kill it.
True.
And it is a token, so it disappears completely.
Here's Young Pyromancer. That is going to resolve.
All right, well, if Daniel Miller does not kill it right now, things are going to get hairy.
Here's another Flooded Strand. Miller is going to sacrifice Flooded Strand, and he'll play a Swords of Plowshares. So, I like the way that he sequenced this turn, mostly because this allows him to play around days.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot to be said about playing around, Oh, bingo! Sorry. Got to get my stamp.
There is an unstable basic land for Todd
Boom.
Anderson.
Unfortunately, it does not help me with any of my bingo rolls.
Good work, Nick. Good bingo board construction. Good job.
Yeah,
now here's
thanks.
a ponder. I think we're going to see a basic island. Yes, we will. Oh, he's mixing it up.
Yeah. Can't say I'm a huge fan of that. But, thanks anyway, Dan.
It's ponder time. Continue,
all right,
please.
so I'll continue. Sorry. So there's a lot to be said about playing around stuff like days, specifically because you want to make sure that your interactive spells don't get hit by it. And on top, the sacrifice you have to make is to not use your mana efficiently, but that's not that big of a problem in this particular matchup. The game's going to go pretty long for the most part. You have two decks just kind of slugging it out against each other. There's going to be a lot of Swords and Plowshares like Snapcaster Mage, Terminus. These kind of cards are really what you're going to see a bunch of.
We're going to go back over to Clay Spicklemire now, who lost his Young Pyromancer to Swords of Plowshares. Daniel Miller looking to, of course, control the game and win at his leisure, as Spicklemire will sacrifice a Misty Rainforest. Probably going to search up in Underground Sea here in just a moment to give himself access to black mana and attempt to resolve a True Name Nemesis, which will resolve.
Yeah, it looked like Dan had a Terminus somewhere in the ponder, if I'm not mistaken. I thought he might have left it on top this turn, but he's giving Clay basically 2 turns to play more creatures instead of just 1. He definitely didn't want to go to his hand this turn in case Clay didn't play another threat.
Looks like this is going to be a basic mountain.
Blood Moon. Blood Moon. Just ruining the party.
Those are probably going to be hiding out in the sideboard, but we'll get there soon enough as Spicklemire will draw a card.
I can't begin to fathom what would go through your head to play unglued, unhinged, unstable lands.
Mostly to tilt you like he is right now.
You know what?
How about that?
Fair play. You got me. You got the tater.
Here is a ponder. Ponder's going to resolve. Take a look at the top couple of cards.
So I'm expecting a big fight on Daniel Miller's draw step next turn. The Terminus is almost assuredly going to be cast to get rid of the True Name Nemesis and maybe try to take away something else that Clay may play this turn, like a Young Pyromancer or a Deathrite Shaman. I believe Clay has a Force of Will in hand. I'm not sure what Daniel has in hand, so we'll just have to see how that plays out. It needs to be Terminus because True Name Nemesis, of course, has protection from Daniel.
Spicklemire, do remember, a former Team Open champion with Spencer Garnier and Chris
Grand
Anderson.
Prix champion as well, I
Also
believe.
a Grand Prix champion. Defeated Joe
Infect.
Lissette in the finals
Yep.
with Infect back in 2016. Got the job done at the Columbus Convention Center.
All right, so we shuffled this ponder. Let's take a look at what we got. Looks like a Peasy.
Yeah, Young Pyromancer the
Looks
draw.
like we got Peasy and a Force of Will. He may just let the Terminus resolve and just try to win with Young Pyromancer. You know, this is definitely a benefit of not overextending onto the battlefield. Now you have the option to fight over this Terminus or not. Whereas before, if he played Young Pyromancer, he certainly has to fight, which means he probably has to pitch something like Brainstorm or Ponder, which would make the Young Pyromancer significantly better over time. But now he just has the option to let it go. Well, honestly, I would let it go.
We will see if he wants to go with your line of play. Clay is certainly thinking about it. And it looks like he may respond with a Brainstorm, and he will. So looking maybe for a little bit more information or a different card to pitch away as he draws 3 cards, and we'll be putting 2 back here in just a moment.
An imperfect Brainstorm.
This is imperfect. No fetch land to go along with it. Why even cast it if you don't have a fetch land?
He's just looking for an alternative blue card to pitch to the Force of Will. I don't hate it. If he had something like Flusterstorm, a Flusterstorm would also be good enough to counter here. But I believe just playing the Spell Pierces. Excuse me.
Here is Force of Will. Gonna exile, gets Hexian Probe. And it looks like Terminus will be countered. So Clay putting a real priority on keeping True Name Nemesis on the battlefield. Arid Mesa is the land here for Daniel, and now he'll play a Portent.
Yep, if he's able to find another Terminus here, he will be able to cast that on Clay's upkeep, thanks to the delayed draw trigger.
A couple of lands in there from the Portent, so nothing too crazy going on at this stage. Most notably, no Terminus, though.
I fully expect. I saw a Swords of Plowshares, I believe. I'm pretty sure he's just going to crack this Arid Mesa before the draw and hope to get a little lucky. Also expect him to fetch a Tundra.
Think he's on the hunt for a non-basic now? Well, he's going to draw the island, so.
Maybe wanted another land.
We're going to go back over to Spicklemire, who will attack again with True Name Nemesis. Going to knock Miller down to 12. So we could see a protect the queen-esque strategy that we've seen many times with True Name Nemesis, which is get it to resolve and then counter the relevant things that are going on, of which there are not a ton for Daniel Miller. Miller will draw. No fetch here at all.
You know, he thought about it a while. He's got a plan in mind.
Well, let's see what this is going to be. That's a predict.
So he knows the top card now, so he's going to get rid of that and draw 2 extra cards, or threaten to.
Island will go away. 2 more cards to the hand there. Looks like a fetch land and a Jace. Now here's a Ponder. So he's cantripping like crazy. Predict will go into the graveyard along with that Ponder, though he does still need to resolve the Ponder, so here we are. Looks like he may have found a Terminus again.
I believe he also had Council's Judgment in there somewhere as well, so even if the Terminus doesn't resolve, he still has another way to get rid of it. He is a little shy on white mana, it looks like, though. He only has access to 2 right now.
Miller will pass the turn back, so Spicklemire will sacrifice the fetch land here, because he does know the top card of his deck at the moment from the Brainstorm.
Yep. But since it was in a turn, he only got to shuffle away 1 of the 2 cards.
Another Underground Sea here for Clay. So after he does shuffle and present, he'll be drawing a card and, of course, be attacking with True Name Nemesis. We'll see what else Clay wants to do here, however, on what appears to be his 6th turn of the game.
Always attack.
Yeah, this is the easy part.
Man, such a fun interactive card, that True Name Nemesis, you know?
It has its moments.
Nothing better than a creature that can't be blocked or targeted.
Daniel is going to sacrifice an Arid Mesa. This could be the Council's Judgment that you mentioned earlier.
Yep. So that seems, I guess there was not a Terminus, it was just Council's Judgment. He's going to go for that and hope it resolves. Looks like Clay's only got like 2 cards in hand, though, so there's a good chance this resolves.
Yeah, Clay's not doing very much.
I wonder if Clay shuffled away the Dead Gone.
Doesn't seem like the best matchup for it. I will say that. Here is Council's Judgment. This one's a weird answer to True Name Nemesis, but it does work, and it even exiles it. So True Name Nemesis has been taken care of. However, Miller's at 8. So there is some potential here for maybe some lightning bolts to work themselves into the equation.
Yeah, 8 life is not a lot. But Clay, actually, yeah, Clay still has that Young Pyromancer from earlier, so he had pressure. He was just playing it smart and safe, trying not to run too much out there to get swept under the rug.
Here is Young Pyromancer. Let's see if this resolves here for Spicklemire. Surprisingly, we haven't seen a Tarmogoyf yet at all this weekend.
Well, Gerard Fabiano did have 4 Tarmogoyfs in his Teamer Box deck.
It's true.
But we only cut to that at the end of end of game 2 and all of game 3. Just didn't draw one.
Gataxian Probe. You're going to be targeting Daniel Miller. You see an elemental token has been made.
A Mr. Donegan.
Oh, Dylan, who is here this weekend with his team. Maybe we'll get the opportunity to see him on camera. At least one member of his team is playing blue-white control, as Dylan put out the signal on Facebook last night, looking for Lyric Dawnbringer. Was having a little difficulty finding the powerful legend. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Oh, what is it, a sword? What is that?
Oh, no, it's the white X Commander spell that tucks.
Oh,
I believe.
Was that Unexpected Results? Unexpectedly absent.
That's it. It's pretty sweet. It's just a 2-mana tuck, you know, white tuck. So next turn you can play Jace and tuck something for 1, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or just put it on top, you know.
Yeah, there it is. I see this one in Cube a lot.
It's a good card. And it's a kind of a catch-all for a deck that might not necessarily have a catch-all.
Deathrite Shaman, the follow-up there from Spicklemire, as we head back over to Daniel Miller. Unexpectedly absent, just a 1-of there in Daniel Miller's deck. Two mana.
Might be it's either Predict or Snapcaster Mage if he's tapping in like this. Yep.
Snappy. See if this resolves. It will. Swords of Plowshare is going to go after Deathrite Shaman. That'll resolve.
All right.
Spicklemire will gain a little bit of life, but the problem is solved there for Miller.
Yeah, at 7 life, Deathrite Shaman, a real threat, dealing a bunch of damage over the course of the next few turns.
Let's go back Clay's way. 20-7 the totals. Here comes that young Pyromancer. Token. Dylan Donegan's going to trade with Tiago Chan.
Clay has a lot more cards in hand than I thought. Guess he's had 2 draw steps, but
He also hasn't really done much.
yeah, I mean he's just sitting on the True Name for a while, and you know he stops playing lands at 4 most of the time.
Wasteland hasn't really worked itself into the equation this game. Only 1 non-basic out there for Daniel Miller. So Clay's going to resolve a Ponder. We'll see if he wants to keep it or not.
That's part of the draw of playing a deck like Miracles. You don't have super hard color requirements, so you're able to play a lot more basic lands.
Yeah.
And that helps fight through stuff like Wasteland. There are times, though, where fetching basics does end up getting you color screwed when you do get hit by a Wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because sometimes you do have to fetch the dual land to be able to double spell. And then you just get punished for it.
Ted Felicetti does win game number 1 of his match against Zan Syed. Blue-white control in Modern, not Standard, up a game over Counters Company.
Nice.
As there's a Delver's Secrets. And now they're going to team up, Daniel Miller and Ted Felicetti.
Ted Felicetti, a good friend of the person that would usually be sitting in my seat right now, Mr. Craig Crimples.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It's good to see Felicetti doing well.
We see an unexpectedly absent on that Delver of Secrets as Miller will draw.
And he's going to try to cast this Jace into an empty battlefield. Clay basically needs Force of Will or Bust.
Yeah, Miller's got enough mana to play around Spell Pierce, which is nice. Flusterstorm 2. So, here is Jace, and this is Spell Pierce number 1.
Spell Pierce plus Daze, that'll do it.
Yep.
It takes 2 cards sometimes, but Delver, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't let Jace resolve, right?
For sure.
It's just too good.
Yeah. I mean, you could potentially Lightning Bolt it. There is an argument to be made from Daniel's side if it had resolved to just plussing it to make sure, you know, the game's gone on long enough. You know Grixis Delver plays Lightning Bolt. Just tick it up, you know, be safe. But Clay having the 2-card combo to stop it.
Gataxian Probe's going to reveal a Force of Will that can be hardcast here by Daniel Miller.
Yep, like that.
So that was a good draw there from Miller. And now here's Deathrite Shaman. Yep, I mean,
yeah.
probably Force, right? Going to daze it? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's nice. We're going to head back over to Daniel.
You know, this is this is Delver Slayer 4.0 now.
Yeah,
It's not the same guy.
That's not the same
But-
person, but this is V4.
Everyone thinks they beat Delver until they lose to Delver, and then this is the first time they've lost to Delver in 20 matches or whatever. You know, you're playing against a Grand Prix champion. You're not playing against other dude from LGS. You know.
Well, Clay knows what he's doing with this deck, that's for sure.
Yep.
Legacy Grand Prix champion, too. And this deck is kind of flexing its muscles a little bit. You know, you would think with Miracles, we're in the long game now, I would say. You know, we've played about 10 turns on both sides of the battlefield, and yet Daniel Miller, as he plays his 7th land, is in some real trouble here as Deathrite Shaman's going to go to work on the graveyard.
I mean, generally speaking, decks like Miracles just need a lot more mana to function, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, the Delver decks, even though they have cards that get worse as the game goes, like they have Daze and Spell Pierce, like, they are going to draw a higher density of spells more often than not because they play fewer total lands. And they need fewer total lands to function, so they get to shuffle them away a lot of times with Brainstorm.
Here comes Snapcaster Mage from Daniel Miller. See life totals here are 20 to 5.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Daniel has turned the corner here. He has cleared all of Clay's threats over the last, 7 turns or so. And even though he's got him to 5 and he has a bolt in hand, he still has to finish the job.
This will be an attack for 2 from Snapcaster Mage. Spicklemire down at 18. Obviously, Clay has a lot of life to work with. He is the aggressor in the matchup. And Daniel Miller, however, is trying to close it out. Here's an attack for 2 more. Spicklemire is going to fall down to 16.
I don't love casting Jace here, which I think he might be about to do. If he had another blue card for Force of Will, I think I would just wait. Your opponent playing Grixis Delver played their 5th land. They don't usually do that.
That's true.
When they do that, it usually means they have Force of Will.
Yep.
So casting Jace here, if you wait 1 turn, you maybe draw your Ponder or your Portent. Then you play Jace with Force of Will backup, and then you're safe. But I think it's going to get countered here, and Daniel's going to lose one of his best cards, unfortunately.
And he's only got 3 Jaces in his deck.
Yeah, still got 1 left in there.
Yep.
He could just hit and treat the Angels off the top or whatever. Like, he's got 1. It's coming.
Miller's hand right now is that Force Will that you mentioned, along with a copy of Terminus. Wasteland the draw here for Spicklemire. Looks like he's going to take care of that Tundra.
Yeah.
Doesn't do
Use
a
him if
ton,
you got him.
But yeah, I agree with you. Here's an attack for 2 more. Spickmire's going to fall down to 13.
One thing to keep in mind, even if Clay does have double bolt in the next turn or 2, Daniel actually just drew Plow for the turn, I think, so he could actually plow his own Snapcaster Mage to gain 2 life up to 7, effectively going to 1.
Attack for 2 more. Spicklemire going to fall down to 11. These players continue to play draw go. Spicklemire can only pass the turn back. Back over to Miller. Down to 9 goes Spicklemire. Is this Snapcaster Mage actually going to go the distance here, Todd?
Looks like it, honestly. I mean, Clay has a Lightning Bolt in hand. Once he gets down to lethal, he can, I think 3 is the life total where you want to burn the bolt on the Snapcaster Mage, because at this point, Daniel has a bunch of cards in hand. It becomes less valuable over time to wait.
There's that 3rd Jace. Here's Spell Pierce.
Yeah, I think it's going to get Pierce plus Dazed, but I think Daniel's actually going to force back to fight over it, putting him at 4. But that's going to leave him, maybe not.
He did not fight at all.
Nope.
And here is Daze. Maybe a little surprised to see no fight. Depends if he has a blue card in his hand. It looks like he might have one in addition.
Yeah, he had a Brainstorm.
Okay. Let's see what we got here. A Ponder. That'll resolve.
With the Terminus in hand, it's possible Brainstorm later on is better than Jace right now.
Okay.
Just because, you can't really afford to Brainstorm the turn it resolves. You also don't want to just die to double Lightning Bolt, which you can very easily do in this spot.
Absolutely.
Like, that whole fight could have just been, okay, you're tapping out. Let's go Spell Pierce Daze. All right, double Bolt you.
Yeah, I win. I steal this game.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of Delver's forte, right? Stealing games. They have no business winning.
Especially in spots like this.
Yeah.
Flooded Strand, pass the turn back. We go back to Miller. Come on in, Snappy. Knock you down to 5. It's a tie game.
Tie game indeed. I'm pretty sure I'll take Daniel's side right here.
This is how I imagine this is how he wants things to go. Here's Brainstorm.
He's got hard counter spell and Force of Will. I think I fire off the hard counter spell here. Brainstorm in particular lets decks like Delver turn their dead cards into action, and the counterspell will only be able to counter one of those potentially 3 spells. So I go after Brainstorm quite a bit. Ooh, I do not love this.
Well, he's going to use Force of Will.
Okay. I mean, maybe, he hasn't died yet to double bolt, so maybe it's better to do that. So later on, you can maybe double spell with Counterspell.
Spicklemire is down to 3.
He did also leave open white mana, which is important there. So using the Force of Will was probably a better play. White mana being able to Swords of Plowshares your own Snapcaster Mage.
Sure. As the play you referenced earlier, that could certainly come up in this situation. He'll Swords the Delver.
Fine play.
Spicklemire going to go up to 4, and it looks down to 2. So Snapcaster Mage still on the appropriate trajectory to get this game over with in the requisite number of turns.
I'm willing to bet at this point in Delver's tenure as a legacy staple. I'm willing to bet it has been targeted by Swords and Plowshares more than any other card.
I actually imagine that to be true.
Yeah.
I actually do. As Daniel Miller going to come all the way back and win game number 1 there over Clay Spicklemire. Miracles up a game here over Grixis Delver. You see the updates on the scoreboard there. Ted Felicetti did win game number 1 over Syed, and Eli Kassis and Julian John, well, they're still battling in game number 1. We'll see if we can get an update about that for you in just a minute. But first, we're going to take 2 minutes to hear Cedric Phillips, Todd Anderson. We're here in the booth. Nick Miller over in the sideboard. We're getting ready to watch game number 2 between Daniel Miller playing Miracles and Clay Spicklemire playing Grixis Delver. We'll start with Clay since he'll be on the play. Rhymes with Clay here for game number 2. 4 Cabal Therapy, 2 Power Blast, 2 Surgical Extraction, an Electrickery, a Pithing Needle, a Braid, Ancient Grudge, Diabolic Edict, Liliana, the last token, Grim Lavamancer. Todd, I know you don't love Grixis Delver, but you gotta like the sideboard at least.
Oh, yeah. Cabal Therapy is my jam.
Yeah.
Wait, do you have the blind hit Cabal Therapy on your thing?
I do.
All right. I hope he misses. No, yeah, I mean, I really like transitioning away from the soft counters in this matchup. The games do tend to go longer. You saw he had to double counterspell a lot of times, and he still lost, like Spell Pierce Daze multiple times on the same, 4 mana spells. So I like Therapy as a way to kind of trade 1 for 1, maybe 2 for 1 if you get a young Pyromancer on the battlefield. Aside from that, Power Blast very good. Counters or kills Jace. Stops Snapcaster Mage, which is huge. Mostly, though, it stops Brainstorm, which is a big deal. Aside from that, I mean, we saw Surgical Extraction earlier from the Delver side in this matchup in particular. Take away all the Swords to Plowshares and all the Terminus. And that looked pretty good.
Wasn't that bad.
Wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I like Liliana Last Hope, just more grindy type cards. Plus, it picks off Snapcaster Mages, which can be an annoyance on occasion.
Given that Clay did die to 1 in that first game. For Daniel Miller, 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Power Blast, 2 Monastery Mentor, 2 Surgical Extraction. A Counterbalance, a Council's Judgment, Red Elemental Blast, Supreme Verdict, Hydro Blast, Vidalcan Shackles, hello, and a Wear Tear.
He only had 2 islands in play like that whole game. What are you doing?
He had a Tundra for a little bit.
Sure.
But what do we like over there?
I like all of the Power Blast effects. The fact that they're split between being able to kill Delver, counter a True Name Nemesis, or stop stuff like Brainstorm is a big deal. Monastery Mentor, I think, is okay. It's really this weird dance. Does Grixis Delver leave in their Lightning Bolts or not? And if you think they're taking them out, Mentor will be really good for 1 game. Other than that, maybe the Counterbalance because it blind flips and hits a bunch. Council's Judgment to help against True Name Nemesis, also fine. Supreme Verdict being uncountable, a really big deal. Also an easy way to clean up something like a Young Pyromancer with a bunch of tokens.
Well, those are the options there for both players. Spicklemire, going to take a look at 6 cards here. Well, it looks like Daniel Miller has kept his 7, so we'll turn our attention to the match. Again, keep in mind the scoreboard. Felicetti up a game here over Syed, and then Kassis, and it looks like John still in game number 1, battling it out. So it looks like you might have some time to jump that way. Bring you 2 matches from this 1-team match. Delver of Secrets is where Clay Spicklemire will start things off of an Underground Sea.
Yeah, that's definitely the kind of start you want from the Grixis Delver side. Deathrite Shaman, sure, as the game progresses, the damage can add up, but it's very mana taxing. Delver of Secrets, though, you just want to get that on the play on the first turn, flip it, and start attacking. Clay has a savage case of the Todd Andersons, which is never being able to blind flip your Delver.
Oh, stop.
This deck has more creatures than your traditional Delver deck. Old school versions usually played 18 land, 12 creatures, and that left you with a full 30 out of 60 to be able to flip Delver of Secrets.
Okay.
Now there's closer to like 14 or 15 depending on the build. You have like your Gurmags, True Names, Young Pyromancers. You have a few more, because you have Deathrite Shaman and Delver.
Okay.
So it's a little harder to flip. It's closer to like 26.
Well, here's an attack for 1, and I imagine we'll see Insectile Aberration, in just a moment. However, here's a Gataxian Probe.
That means if he's casting that now, I bet he has a Cabal Therapy on top of his deck. And he wants to draw it now and then also take away the best card from Daniel.
Well, here is Daniel's hand. You see an island. You see an island on the battlefield. You see a Plains and a Tundra in hand, along with the Swords of Plowshares, a Supreme Verdict, Counterbalance, a Jace the Mind Sculptor, and a Brainstorm. So a pretty good 7-card hand here.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of Counterbalance ever since the banishing of Sensei's Divining Top.
Good riddance.
Yeah, it's gone. Thank you. No more Joe Lissette in Legacy ever. Yeah, but I mean, it's still a fine card. I mean, I've played against Counterbalance enough to know that blind flips happen quite a bit against decks with a high density of 1 and 2 mana spells. Your deck also has a bunch of 1 and 2 mana spells, so it's going to happen.
It can be frustrating, though, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're flipping a coin basically to see if you win or lose the game.
Yeah. Spicklemire going to record all this information. You mentioned that he might have a Cabal Therapy in hand, which is kind of tricky to cast right now because you kind of want to, but the Brainstorm could really screw some things up. And you have to imagine that Daniel Miller is probably going to put Counterbalance back on top of his deck. So I don't know if this is the best time to cast Cabal Therapy, but I don't know if there's a better time to cast the discard spell.
There's this weird guessing game with Cabal Therapy against the Brainstorm when you know their hand, or you have to figure they're going to try to protect at least one of their best spells, right? Like the most important spell, they're going to put it on top. What you can do as the player casting the Brainstorm is try to play a mind game where you put maybe a card that kind of stinks on top and leave all the good cards in your hand and hope that they just name like some random card that you should have put back on top.
Sure.
It's a weird mind game. I will say I'm very surprised by this. Swords of Plowshare targeting Deathrite Shaman instead of the Delver of Secrets. Considering
You prefer to target the Delver here?
Oh, always.
Really?
From the control side, it just has the biggest damage output. The mana doesn't matter that much. Plus, there's no fetch lands in the graveyard.
Okay. Fair enough. Brainstorm the reveal. We're going to see how this ends up playing out now because this will be interesting.
Poorly. That's my guess.
Because I thought we might see him play the Counterbalance that turn. Daniel Miller.
I thought so too, but he is also aware that 4 copies of Daze are almost in every Delver deck. On the play, they're significantly better than on the draw, so the likelihood that Clay still has Daze in his deck is pretty high. And running a Counterbalance into something like Daze is just a no-go.
This is a Brainstorm from Clay Spicklemire. Among the cards picked up was a Surgical Extraction. So 2 cards will be going back here in just a moment. While Clay works on that, I'll work on this. Julian John wins game number 1 over Ely Kassis. White-black aggro, the deck that has been dominating on Magic Online, for those of you who pay attention.
Yeah, second place in the most recent PTQ last Saturday. It's just been 5-0 leagues here and there. It's a good deck.
It is a very good card deck, is what I would call that white-black aggro deck.
Synergy.
Yeah.
Buzzword.
Up a game over Ely Kassis and his blue-white historic deck. Clay's still resolving a Brainstorm, and he's just about done doing that.
Brainstorm's a hard card to play with, man. Sometimes there's no right answer in what you put back.
Why do you think I never play with it, dude?
Because you're bad at Magic.
That is sort of
Here
accurate.
it comes. Okay, I'll give you this. If he hits here, I will call it a blind hit because the hand technically changed.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Oh, wait, which oh, no, I can't. That'll put
Yes,
you
you
at
can.
4 out of 5
Oh,
fingers.
you just said you were going to.
All right.
We can rewind the tape if you want.
Oh, it's fine. So this is a really interesting
Come on,
spot.
Clay. Come on.
Shuffling his hand was a nice little touch.
Name that tune, Clay.
Yeah, he's putting. He also recognized that Counterbalance is a very powerful card in this matchup, leaving that one on top to draw and play next turn. So I think Clay should know that it's very unlikely the Counterbalance is in hand. So he should name
Supreme Verdict.
any of the other cards that he knows about from the Jataxian Probe.
Come on, come on, come on. Come on.
Tell you what, I'll bridge with you. Blind misses. All right, hit.
Name Jace.
If he had named the thing and missed after
Sure.
having Jataxian probed.
Touchdown. Play
Boom.
Spicklemire.
All right, what do you need left? Kite Cell Freebooter?
Exiles a
All
card.
right, no modern.
Yeah.
No more modern today.
We're going to put humans on, and that'll be that.
Uh,
That will be that. Though we haven't seen much humans yet. I don't think we haven't watched it once, and it hasn't been in the feature match area yet.
that's fair. Just people making bad decisions.
I imagine it's here. It is probably the best deck in Modern after all.
Oh, wow, he did leave Counterbalance in his hand. If I'm Clay, I might just go ahead and fire off this Therapy to take that Counterbalance, especially if you don't have a one-mana creature to play here to sacrifice instead.
Well, it looks like he has a little something to do here, yeah? Can't tell.
I'm very curious what card is on top of Daniel's deck.
Well, it's going to get shuffled away now.
That is a heads-up play from Clay for sure.
Unless this is what Daniel wanted to have happen. Did you ever think about that?
No. Why would you expect that?
I want to know the top card. I'm dying to know. Come on, Clay, show us. Okay, he immediately went
Reb
there.
and it looked like a blue card.
Yeah.
I thought he had a Tundra somewhere. What happened to the Tundra? Am I going crazy?
No, you're not going crazy. It could be a Tundra.
Move your hand,
There's that.
Daniel.
There's that. No, Clay, keep going.
Oh, he's going to keep going. Counterbalance. Oh, so he has two counterbalance. Does he have one main, one board? That might be it.
Let's take a look, Ski. Oh, he plays two counterbalance main.
Ah,
Okay.
there it is. Okay. I saw the one in the sideboard. I assumed it was just a singleton. I was wrong.
Yeah, third in the board.
Not a whole lot of counterbalance to see him play these days just because no more Sensei's Divine Top to pair with. You got to do a little bit of work to make it great. But in matchups like Delver, it's just genuinely a good card.
Yeah. It's going to, I mean, Delver plays a lot of one-mana spells, and this build of miracles that players have gone towards with Portents and Preordains and Ponders, all these one-mana spells, it lines up pretty good.
Nah, for sure.
So Miller's hand has a Supreme Verdict, a Counterbalance, a couple of lands. The Tundra's in his hand along with the Scalding Tarn and an island.
There it is.
And now the top card of his deck, which he knew before, is a mystery to everyone.
You know, I'm not used to seeing black-bordered dual lands. Those are the ones that Toddy can afford. They expensive.
Draw a card, Will Miller. He's without Swords to Plowshares anymore.
I think just jamming Counterbalance here is fine, and then just try to Supreme Verdict next turn.
Well, there's your Counterbalance.
Yep. So now it's like a 20-ish, 30% chance that he just counters every one-mana spell.
Here's an attack for 3. Does Spicklemire have a creature to play? He does not.
I don't even know if he would want to play one. He knows about the Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, I guess the thought process was if he has a creature to play, he can flash back
yes.
the therapy.
Yes. Reasonable. But it could just get blind counter from the counterbalance.
Yeah,
so.
that's the issue.
Yeah.
Here's Ponder. That'll resolve. So 3 cards here for Daniel Miller to take a look at.
I guess saving the Supreme Verdict for another turn or two is not that bad. You don't want to get too low on life against Delver. Things change a bit, though, once you get Counterbalance in play. You can sometimes, set it up to protect yourself from Lightning Bolt and such.
Yeah, it is a little interesting how to go about doing this now, because I also would have a little bit of fear of playing like the Tundra naked because of Wasteland.
Oh, for sure.
So I like playing Scalding Tarn a lot.
Yeah, if you're not going to cast Supreme Verdict this turn, no reason to expose yourself to Wasteland.
Yeah. So Miller's not going to do that. We're going to head back over to Spicklemire, who will draw. I think we'll see him attack here in just a moment.
I think Clay's in trouble.
I don't love his positioning this game.
I mean, there's also a lot of value in not casting the Supreme Verdict because then all of your Swords to Plowshares are live, and you can save Supreme Verdict for something that can't get hit by Swords to Plowshares, like a True Name Nemesis, or, a Pyromancer that made a token or two.
What Swords to Plowshares?
Oh, they gone.
It's all right.
I did it again.
That's all right.
Oops.
It's okay, Britney
And now
Spears.
now it's stuck in your head forever.
I listen to that song regularly.
Okay. It's a great song.
It's fairly medium, but it's on my playlist.
Well, if it's on your playlist after about 19 years, I think it's a pretty good song, Cedric.
All right, fine. We got Modern going to be going to game 3 as Syed tied things up here against Ted Felicetti. Counters company, blue-white control, getting ready for a third and final one. As now here's a ponder from Daniel Miller.
Okay, while Daniel doesn't know the top card of his deck and has already played a land, so he can't set up the top card of his deck with a Brainstorm, this is Clay's spot to try to resolve. Oh, never mind. I thought he was shuffling from the ponder. He was shuffling from a fetch land.
Yeah.
My mistake. So my guess, he's going to leave a 1-mana card on top, probably draw that Predict, and then maybe even hold the Predict for a turn.
Yeah, he's looking at Predict and Ponder, and it looks like he's going to put Predict on top. Put Predict on top to draw. Ponder's now on top of his deck, and we'll head back over.
This is another one of those weirdo mind games where what Daniel could have done instead is leave the Predict on top to stop a young Pyromancer.
Okay.
Because Clay would assume that he left a 1-mana card on top to stop Delver, Deathrite, Brainstorm, etc. And just not cast anything.
Instead, now Daniel's got to contend with a True Name Nemesis. Now he can predict the top card of his deck, which is nice. He knows it's a Ponder. So he will show the Ponder, and now he will draw 2 cards. He needs to find an answer for True Name Nemesis.
Well, he drew a Snapcaster Mage, so that's pretty good.
Snap into Verdict? Maybe, as there's a port.
I feel like this is his upkeep.
I think he drew a card already for the turn.
Perhaps.
As he's going to Portent now.
Yep, digging for a Terminus, but he already has a Snapcaster Mage, and if that resolves, he'll be able to hit Supreme Verdict off of it in a turn or two.
Assuming all goes right.
Yeah, I mean, Clay does have Red Elemental Blast in hand, I believe, or maybe a Power Blast. So there's a, if he doesn't play carefully by leaving, 1-mana cards on top of his deck at the right time, things could go south.
Also, a Wasteland on that Tundra could buy Clay enough time.
Right.
There's an island.
Yeah, I mean, that second white, I believe he drew like a Scalding Tarn off of the Portent. So he still has access to white mana, assuming he has at least 2 Tundras in his deck, which I would bet.
Here comes True Name Nemesis. Miller's down to 6. Things weren't looking great for Clay about 3 turns ago. They're looking a little bit better now.
So what I like doing is during Daniel's draw step, I actually like casting Brainstorm as a tester card.
That's what he's doing.
Nice.
Explain.
So the test card against Counterbalance is like, if it's something like Brainstorm's pretty good, right? And if your opponent had a 1-mana spell on top of their deck, they would counter it.
Okay.
It is a May ability to flip the Counterbalance.
Okay.
So now that he knows that Brainstorm is good, Pyroblast is almost certainly good unless Daniel has another copy of Brainstorm, which he could use then to put a 1-mana card back on top of his deck and use the Counterbalance that way.
What if Daniel's on the next level? He has a 1 there, and he's just like, yeah, go ahead. Resolve your Brainstorm.
Then he's a psychopath, and I love him.
Yeah.
We will become best friends.
What if he's on that next level?
What's that?
We might find out here in just a moment.
Well, I'm pretty sure this is getting hit with a Pyroblast.
Yeah, he's going to try.
Because you can't counter Supreme Verdict, so you got to counter. Now, a heads-up play from Daniel here, since he had the 1 extra mana, what he probably should have done is cast Ponder first, since he had the extra mana.
Okay, sure.
And that would have allowed him to set up a 1 on top of his deck to play around Pyroblast.
Now he's got to hope to hit with this Counterbalance blind.
Yep.
Fortunately, he did play a fetch land before playing the Snapcaster Mage. So he is drawing live, as here is a basic mountain. Ah, yes. Rub those hands together, young Clay.
Probably got about 25 hits or something like that. Bunch of Ponders, Brainstorms, Portent, Preordained maybe. Swords to Plowshares are gone.
Swords, yep.
They're gone. I'm guessing it's going to be a land.
All right. Here comes the suspenseful reveal. It's a land.
Wow. Called it.
You are a natural in the booth. We've played a lot of Magic. There is the Pyroblast to take care of the Snapcaster Mage. This might be the Ponder. Yeah, he'll cast it. 3 cards coming. Tarn predicts Terminus.
Okay, so what he could do here is stack it exactly how he is, predict on top to draw off the Ponder, land on top of that to predict away, and then he'll draw the Terminus as his first draw off of predict. And that'll give him the ability to cast the Terminus on Clay's upkeep, if he so chooses.
Yeah, predict is pretty nice in this deck. Jeez.
Oh, it's great. It's basically Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah, they're the same card. So if predict were legal in Modern, that'd be game.
No, because you don't have Ponder and Preordain set it up. Also, Jace sucks in Modern. We've already established.
What about your old pal? What about your old pal Serum Visions, huh?
Yeah.
Your old friend.
Yeah, it's fine. So he's consulting here with his teammate to make sure the best line of play.
Ely interested as well. Ely Kassis, of course, your defending Invitational champion. Won our last Invitational.
Elemental token, right?
Yes, for Voice of Resurgence.
Nice. XX, correct. Yeah.
Given beatdowns. Kassis currently not giving any beatdowns in his match. He's down a game against Julian John in that white-black aggro deck. All right, so it looks like Daniel Miller going to keep things where they are. Ponder's done resolving. Did he draw from his Ponder?
Yes. Okay. He's one of the guys that puts the card in his hand and the 2 on top.
Got it. Here's Predict.
All right, so Predict will be naming the Scalding Tarn, so he's going to draw 2.
Terminus will be one of them.
Cast Terminus. Sir? Is this good, sir? All right.
It is. Down goes True Name. Draw a card. Didn't get a great look at it, but what you can see in Clay's hand is he's got a Pithing Needle, and he has a copy of Deathrite Shaman.
So this is another window, though, for Clay where Daniel doesn't know the top card of his deck, doesn't have mana to cast Brainstorm. So there's a chance here, like he'll lead with his worst 1-mana spell. I assume he would play Pithing Needle, but that's only if he, has a 1-mana spell he wants to resolve.
How about a Gurmag Angler?
That's a 1-mana spell, kind of. Flip Counterbalance. Do you have, wait for it, Searing Flesh? No, is that it?
That'll work.
The 7-mana deal.
What was that?
7?
Yeah, I think it's 7-mana deal 7.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Here's Supreme Bird. He's got one of those. That'll clean things up.
Bang.
It's a good card in this matchup as we head back over to Spicklemire.
See, Predict is great. It found him all these good cards.
I'm very pro Predict.
All right. Now we got to, play this dance of what's on top of your deck. Is it a Predict? Maybe.
Here's Young Pyromancer.
Trigger. Let's take a look in a book.
Jace,
Jace,
the Mind Sculptor.
Okay. Let's, if he wants to here, Clay can Pithing Needle on the Jace Mind Sculptor.
Uh-huh.
If it resolves, which it looks like it's going to,
I'll
name the top of your
I'll
deck.
Pithing Needle your deck.
He can also cast Deathrite Shaman here. I believe that's his last card.
Yep.
He could resolve a Cabal Therapy if he wishes, but there's no reason to hit the second Counterbalance, I don't think.
All right, we're going to go back over to Daniel Miller, who's going to draw his Jace and just pass the turn back. We're going to go to Clay. He'll attack for 3. Excuse me, attack for 2, bring Miller down to 3. Simply pass the turn back. Miller will draw. Looks like he picked up a copy of Brainstorm.
That's a good one. It could be anything. It could even be more Brainstorms.
Could be more Jaces, too.
But it can't be Swords to Plowshares.
True. As we head back over to Spicklemire, who's drawn a Force of Will. Here he comes for 2 more.
That actually is not a terrible play by Daniel. I was thinking, why don't you just main phase it? But after consideration, if he plays the Brainstorm, it can get hit with a Force of Will, and that gives Clay 1 extra power to do the last point of damage.
Sure. Okay. That's a really good point. There's a hard cast Force of Will right away. Miller thinking about revealing the Counterbalance. Then he kind of stopped himself. Maybe this means he doesn't have any Force of Wills in his deck after sideboard?
I would guess he has 0 Force of Wills after sideboard.
Well, if he's revealing, maybe he's revealing just to get more information, and now he will concede
also
the game.
to hopefully not give away the information that he boarded out Force of Will.
Okay, sure. There's two sides to it. Very good call. As Clay Spicklemire is going to tie things up here against Daniel Miller, which means we're tied up across the board. And Todd, you can see the clock. We got about 3 minutes left to go, so these players are really going to have to pick up the pace. Otherwise, they're going to work themselves into draw territory.
Is this going to be a 0-0-3?
I don't know, but we'll find out once we come back from our sponsors. Control did defeat Counter's Company, and it could be a 1-0-2 win for Miller, Felicetti, and Kassis.
That would make me very, very unhappy. I hate draws. I mean, if you've ever watched me play on camera, I play, probably faster than I should, for one.
You're here to ensure you get no draws.
Oh, yeah. I think I've had one unintentional draw in the last 4 years, maybe longer. And it was with, I thought it would be with Jeskai Black. I never got a draw with Jeskai Black.
Okay.
I'll just say that I should be famous for that.
You did play that deck pretty fast. That deck had a lot of decisions, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good deck, too.
It became like clockwork at some point. Yeah, kill your guy. Cast dig through time. Take the two best ones.
Ah, yes. Dig through time. Good idea.
Just good design.
A counterbalance is where Daniel Miller is going to start this game off. Deathrite Shaman here for Clay. Clay is going to shuffle. We'll see if Daniel does remember that counterbalance trigger here in just a moment for the young Pyromancer, and then we'll move forward accordingly. That's a ponder. Clay will pass the turn back over to Daniel.
No second land. That's a big deal for Clay.
Here is that ponder.
Yep, just looking for removal spell, Supreme Verdict. That'll be a good one. Clear away Young Pyromancer, all the potential tokens, and the Deathrite Shaman.
All right, gonna pass. It looks like post ponder. So we're gonna go back over to Clay Spicklemire. It is turn one. The chances of them finishing this game are extremely low. I will say, Young Pyromancer can do some degenerate things sometimes, however, so it's not impossible.
Yeah, there's also a counterbalance in play after a ponder. There's a chance that all the 1-mana cards are locked down. You can't do that much. You're definitely not going to be able to put, 10 power into play or whatever.
Here's Probe.
We'll see. That's a good tester.
That's a 1-mana spell important.
Pink.
Still going to get an elemental token from the Young Pyromancer, which is going to increase the clock some.
Yeah. The thing here, though, is that Daniel definitely cannot win the match.
Yes.
Clay can. So at this point, if it's up to Ely whether or not he wins his match or if Clay is able to take it down.
Yeah, Julian John actually is the one who needs to win right now.
Well, I'm saying if Ely wins, then they win the match.
Correct.
Or I guess no, if they both draw, then it's fine.
Yeah,
too.
If they both draw, it's a 1-0-2.
Sure.
So
Clay really needs to win.
Yeah, Clay needs to win or Julian needs to win to tie things up, or somehow both win, as here's Terminus.
Yeah, so the cool thing about Terminus is that you reveal it before you pay for it. So you reveal it, put the trigger from Miracle on the stack. Then you can activate a fetch land, search up that white source, even though you didn't have one in play when the ability went on the stack. It's a neat little trick that you can do with Terminus. It's been around a while, but for those unfamiliar with Legacy, it does look strange.
But effective.
Yes, very effective.
Julian won standard. Wow.
Okay, so it's down to this.
White-black aggro indeed. Well, the Terminus is going to resolve, so I don't think it's going to happen now. If the Terminus got countered via Force of Will, sure, we can make something happen. But we'll see these players play out the home stretch here very quickly.
Oh, let's hope they play quickly. It's a draw.
Ted Felicetti going to help out his teammate here, Daniel Miller. Ted, of course, did win his match. Blue-White Control in Modern. For you Blue-White Control fans, Ted's deck, pretty good.
Does it have Jace the Mind Sculptor in it?
Let's confirm.
Probably.
2.
Nice. It has a Teferi Hero of Dominaria.
It's the second Teferi we've seen in Modern this weekend.
Cool. It's got multiple Gideons. Cool.
Gideon of the Trials, Gideon ally of Zendikar.
That's going to be a nice little deck list. I hope they do well and it gets posted.
Yeah, this will be interesting.
I might just take a picture of it and post it on Twitter. Just steal them likes.
All aboard the like train.
Oh, I might get in trouble for that, though, because I don't want everyone to know his deck list.
Yeah, you might want to wait until the tournament's over. That's okay.
Ooh, favoritism.
Daniel going to play a Ponder, it looks like. I think both players, at least Clay, just saying, yeah, there's nowhere really to go from here. There is a Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Cool. I mean, so not to get too deep into it, there is an argument to be made for like posturing. You know, you want to make it so that it's clear that you would have won the game if it went long enough. And then sometimes, you know, if your opponent is a nice enough guy, you're like, yeah, you would have won. No reason for us to get, you know, a draw.
Yeah, I mean, in team tournaments it is difficult, but at the end of the day, it looks like it's going to be a draw between these two teams. So while they have their fun conversation, we will put a wrap on this particular round as we got to watch a pretty